Hi, so Charlie giving you Monday's video. So I titled today's video, How Much Can You Make? Or something like that. I'll come up with a title at some point, Sam will get it out. How much can you make from trading? And it's so often a question that's asked, especially by newer traders. Well, how much can I make a month from trading? And you end up saying, well, how long's a piece of string? And you end up giving them a vague answer because it's so difficult. So what I want to do is just break it down so we can actually see why it's so difficult. So for example, let's say you had a strategy that you were employing. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Let's say it was a 50% win rate with a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Okay, so let's assume you took 4 trades over a month. I'm really trying to keep it easy at the moment on my little brain. So you took 4 trades over the month. On that basis, and if you're risking 1% per trade, let's say, so on that basis you can have 2 trades which lose 2%, and you're going to have 2 trades which make 4%, giving you a net 2% return. Okay, so you can say, okay, well, how could you increase that return? You can increase that return by increasing the number of trades, potentially. That's only 4 trades a month. So if you change that to 8 trades a month, then obviously all of a sudden you are at 4% now net return, and so on and so forth. But there's so many different things you can do. You could have a higher win rate. You could increase your risk to reward. There's so many different things that you can do to change, and you could increase your risk per trade as well. So there's so many different variables. When someone says, oh, how much money can I make per month? It's almost like I said, how long is a piece of string? Because there's so many different variables, and that's only just based on one setup there. So bear with me 1 second, I'll just press pause. Right, okay, so lots of different variables there to get to whatever return it is. And so how many trade frequency is a big one. But just because you've got a low trade frequency doesn't necessarily mean that you only make a small amount, because you might be having a 1 to 5 risk to reward, for example. And so you could have a low frequency and yet still be putting in some really good returns. I mean, for example, some of our traders in the last month in July, they've been making around about 30% return. I had to press pause there because we've got friends over and they were just leaving. So yeah, we've had some traders who are doing 30% in the last month in July. So some tremendous returns. Now, in order to generate those, again, there will be a number of factors involved. Trade frequency is one, risk rewards another, how much they're risking per trade will be another as well. And that brings me on to my next point, really, is how much you're willing to risk. Because people, again, will say, well, how much can I make a month? And you say, well, how much do you want to be risking per trade as well? Because you can have a trader with, for argument's sake, £10,000 in their trading account, and they might be really comfortable and happy risking, for argument's sake, let's say 1% per trade, and that's fine. And they could actually be making themselves a nice, for argument's sake, I'm just making these figures up, 5 to 10% in a month. Not every month, but let's assume that that's what they can average, and that is more than doable. But you might also have a trader who's got 500k in account. Now, is a trader with 500k account necessarily going to want to take a 1% risk per trade? A trader with 500k account may not be interested in trying to make 5 to 10% a month. They might be happy making 2% a month. Now, the trader with 500k in their account is obviously making more money, only making 2% per month, than the trader who is making a higher percentage return, but obviously because they've got more cash, they actually make more money. And so again, so many different variables. And because people say, well, why would you not just carry on trading the way you do here when you've got this? Well, because a lot of traders don't need to. So why put more money at risk per trade? Why not be more comfortable trading with lower risk per trade? So it does vary, and what we tend to find is, as traders increase their accounts, then their they get to a point where they say, do you know what? No, I don't feel like I need to be trading 1% at risk or 2%, whatever it might be. Some traders trade at 2%. I'm going to trade at 0.5% at risk now. So again, on a percentage basis, their percentage might be lower per month, but they're really comfortable and happy with that because that's still yielding some nice cash. So there's so many different variables to how much do you make per month, but variables of the strategies, trade frequencies, all the way through to the variables of how much money have you got in your account. I mean, I see traders with £1,500 in their account put in some really big percentage gains. But would they put those percentage gains in if they had account with, let's say, 150,000 in it? Might be a little bit different. So lots and lots of different variables to think about when it comes to how much you make per month and what you're comfortable with, because some traders will just say, no, 2% a month is 24% a year on the money that I've got. I am more than happy with that. Whereas you might have an aggressive trader who's saying, no, I'm averaging 5-10% a month, and some months I might even be making more than that, 20%. Like I said, some of our traders did 30% last month. So it really depends on the individual, and that's the ultimate answer. How long is a piece of string? Right, I shall leave that with you. Back on Friday.